Hey there, Internet Keeve here. So you want a foam? Well, I've got a lot of information on that. Throughout this video, we're gonna go through what can help you foam the best, the arguments on foaming, thin, thick, all that kind of stuff. So let's get right into it. So this is how mine currently foams. So you can see nice thick foam. It's dripping down well, creating a nice drip line there, as you can see at the bottom. And that's what we'll explain in this video. So there are many arguments and theories out there on foam, thick foam, the consistency that you need, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people, for me, it's therapeutic, but it also does clean the car at the same time, especially when you have a really nice coated surface. You don't even have to get to your bucket method half of the time. You can just do the foam and then rinse the car off. But the main reason for the foam is to encapsulate the dirt on the car. Use the soap as a lubricant to run the dirt off the car, so you don't introduce it into your bucket method with your mitt. That less dirt on the car, the less your swirl marks. It's just best that way. As you can see, this is the way the foam is. I like mine thick, but not too thick. Thick enough to where it can still stick to the car and it has that long dwell time. So dwell time is how long it sits on the car and then runs off. You see it's running off the car. I have lots of foam running out. You have what you would call your drip line, which is right here. That's how you measure how dirty your car is. Mine gets washed 2 to 3 times a week, so there isn't too much in that drip line. But that can help you measure how much dirt is coming off your car. And if it's really dirty, you can tell, and that's dirt that's not gonna be on your mitt. So whether you get it off with a rinse or with a foam, I would suggest you rinse the car off beforehand to get off most of the really light particles. So with any foam, you make sure you don't want to sit on there too long, so that's why I've gone and rinsed off the car. You don't want it to dry on there. It's just more work to get it off. Even though if you're using a pH neutral soap, which you should be using, Chemical Guy Snow Foam, Adams Car Shampoo, G-Technique W4 Citrus Foam, which is what I use, should be pH neutral. And actually that pH neutral foam soap is actually better for your car and does less damage than hard water does. So let's talk water. Water is one of the main contributors to foam, whether it comes out of your hose or it's coming out of your foam cannon. Now, there's soft water, there's hard water. I have soft water here because the city water that I get comes from reservoirs, which are fed by spring lakes in the mountains, and that tends to be really soft water. Now, if you live near the ocean or they use groundwater, that's really hard. It has a lot of minerals in it. What makes water hard is how much calcium, magnesium, and minerals it has in it. Those affect foam because the foam is taking so much longer to do its job. It's soft water, it does it really well. So I would always suggest using distilled water in your foam cannon if you're using hard water or soft water, because it creates the best foam. It makes it easier, especially if you have soft water. You can save on soap by using distilled water because it creates really good foam. Next thing that impacts your foam is your foam cannon. Now, most foam cannons do foam quite the same. I have found that this new PF22.2, I just did a video on this one as well, foams better than any foam cannon I've ever had. But I've actually gotten this one to foam just as good, but it takes a lot more work to get that one to foam like this. This is so much more easier, user-friendly. The bottom works great, but foam cannon, the mesh that's in there, the filter, how it's built, all that determines your foam, plus the flow rate that's coming in and out of it. So the pressure washer affects the foam cannon through flow rate. A nice one's gonna have a nice flow rate, a cheaper one's gonna have a bad flow rate. So the cheaper ones, this is your little hack right here. This cannon actually came with this one. The other foam cannon that I had, I actually did a video where I used this piece right here. So it's basically just a smaller orifice, a 1.1 millimeter. The default on all foam cannons is a 1.25. Now, obviously, if you have a really, really high-end pressure washer, you probably want to go to a 1.5 because you actually can damage your pressure washer by hurting the flow rate that's coming through. You could damage your pressure washer. So this little guy right here can affect your foam as much as anything in your foam cannon. So the smaller the hole, obviously, the less flow rate. So if you have a lower pressure washer, this allows it to agitate your soap better, regulating the amount of water coming in and out of your foam cannon. Now, if you have a foam cannon that was working really well at one point but now isn't, it could be the mesh filter on the inside. So you can check the instructions for these. I haven't actually removed it yet, but on the inside there's a little mesh filter, and that's on all these foam cannons. That's what helps spray that foam out. But it can get worn down over time and can be replaced. You can check and find those pieces on Amazon all over the place. So another thing that's going to impact your foam is your pressure washer. Now, I probably have the cheapest pressure washer on the market. If you like the cart here, go check out the video on it. I just did one. But thanks to Obsessed Garage, I've mentioned in other videos, Matt, he's definitely already figured out the best way to get foam and spray out of these pressure washers, so go check him out. But if you buy a cheap one like this, you're definitely already at a disadvantage. This has 1.2 gallons per minute. The sweet spot's 2.0 gallons per minute, more or less, to get the best foam. But using the 1.1 millimeter orifice, distilled water, that kind of stuff got me the better foam. So the last of the 4 things that you need to make foam is your soap. With soap though, it's really not depending on what kind of soap you need. Just make sure it's pH balanced soap. There are soaps built specifically for foam cannons that work better. Chemical Guys, Snow Foam, like I mentioned before. Citrus Foam from G-Technique works really well. But it's your dilution ratio. The worse your setup, the more soap you're gonna have to use, the more it's gonna cost you in the long run. But don't think that you just need to put pure soap in your foam cannon to get the best foam when you have really bad conditions. You still need to have a little bit of water in there, because it's gotta be able to get agitated. And the more soap you have, sometimes it just doesn't work that way. But it's always best to have a good, nice mix of water and soap. For me, it's like, I use 150 milliliters for 1,000 milliliters. So it's not a whole lot of soap, but you can use more or less. So let's quickly go over the different arguments there are when it comes to soap, and whether it's you want thin or thick. A lot of people think that having a much thinner soap allows it to run off the surface a lot quicker, getting the dirt off faster. Then there are people who believe in a thicker foam of soap where it stays on longer and encapsulates the dirt longer and runs off. Now if it's too thick, it won't run off. The dirt side never actually coming off the car. It'll come off in the rinse. But when the rinse, the water pressure can actually make the dirt scratch the surface as well. So how you rinse off the car has a lot to do with it too. Like using a 1,000 PSI fan or something like that isn't too powerful, like I have on my setup. And if you use too much PSI, you can actually push that dirt back into the surface. Then there's the thinner, which I get, but I don't think it sits on the surface too long. So you have a battle of experts who say whatever, but in the end, I think a mixture of the both, a nice thick foam that runs off the surface, is the best way. So this would be the thinner kind. And this is probably about what the best you'll get, that if you're in a really bad hard surface area, this is about the best that you're gonna get. I hate to say it, unless you have a water softener, you might get a little bit better than that, but experts believe that this is the best way. As you see how much quicker it's evacuating from the surface, they would probably go with even less dilution. Here is the really thick method. So you can see it's basically shaving cream, but it is dwelling off of the surface. But I exaggerate. I can't get the best possible foam to get the sticky, almost like styrofoam sitting on the car. I can't get that kind of consistency yet. This is the best I can do. This is a little too much. I probably will do a little less than this, but this is definitely a little more soap than I would normally use, because you're also trying to save money there too. But look, I mean, you see how much foam I got just off of that one little spray right there. You see, like, it's evacuating the dirt off the surface just the way it's supposed to. So in the end, it's really personal preference. Getting soap on the car and washing and rinsing it off is going to get dirt off the car in the long run. So really, to me, it's personal preference. I like a foam like this because it's therapeutic. So I hope you enjoyed this video on foaming. I hope it was informative for you. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything else that you would need to know, or any kind of critique that you have. Like I said, the 4 things: the water that you use, the foam cannon with the flow rate, the pressure washer with the flow rate, the dilution ratio of your soap. Those are all contributing factors. Like I said, I hate to say it for you hard water people, it's really hard to get good foam. So I hope this helped you get better foam. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.